Okay, welcome everybody. This is Chaos Magic 101. This is going to be the introduction installment of the series. And yes, this is going to be a series on my channel. So let's get right into it. What is Chaos Magic? It's kind of difficult to explain Chaos Magic in summary in such a way that people don't assume things about it. The most neutral way I would describe it is that chaos magic is a way to conceptualize reality in a way that is very flexible. A lot of people like to summarize it with phrases like, belief is a tool, whatever works, works, dogma is an illusion. Those are very good kind of summaries of some of the key concepts to the theory of chaos magic. I wouldn't say that's the entirety of what chaos magic is. We'll get to that in a bit. But belief is a tool especially. You'll hear that a lot, and I'll get to some of the misconceptions people have surrounding statements such as this in relation to chaos magic. So why would people choose to practice this? I've seen people say things like, oh, why would you practice something so evil? Oh, you don't believe in anything. How do things work for you in that way? It's useless because it's a fake form of magic. That's very much from a place of ignorance. It's at the very least misinterpreting some of the more common things people have said about it. But chaos magic is basically just a tool. It's not that people don't believe in anything when they practice chaos magic. We'll get to that in a bit. It's equally applicable to a variety of belief systems. I listed some here. Some of them, like pop culture magic, are kind of I would say children of a lot of the minds of chaos theory practitioners, but also applying chaos magic in established belief systems like Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, heathenry. All that can really help the magician in conceptualizing reality, dismantling what they personally believe, and similar kinds of things in a very perhaps secular way would be like the most useful way to describe it. Getting to the misconceptions. So in the example I was saying earlier of people like just saying stuff about chaos magic, they call it evil. Usually in the same breath, people would kind of associate chaos magic as a left-hand path, quote-unquote, religion. That is a lot of knots to untangle, but I will say, as someone who practiced both chaos magic and left-hand path magic, it's not really accurate to call chaos magic a left-hand path. Even just theory of practice, because chaos magic doesn't inherently ascribe to the idea of left-hand, right-hand path. That's kind of something you would need to program into your belief system to be able to utilize such a term in chaos magic. And for the record, just because something is left-hand path doesn't mean it is evil. Evil is not a default concept in chaos magic either. People who are not familiar with non-dual systems might be a little confused by that, but it's simply just not something chaos magic concerns with the philosophy of good and evil. another misconception people have said about chaos magic is that chaos magic is just sigil magic. While sigil magic, as we know it today, originated from the mind of Austin Osman Spar, who kind of formalized a way of making sigil magic, and in addition to that is also was also an automatic drawer. Sigil magic in and of itself is not chaos magic, although a lot of chaos magicians like sigil magic because it is easy, very non-dramatic, very personal, and so you will see a lot of sigil magic and chaos magic, and I plan myself to verbalize how sigil magic is commonly used in chaos magic. Another aspect I touched on, chaos magic is not the absence of belief. Even if you have the core belief in chaos magic theory, that in itself is a belief, chaos magic practitioners have a belief system, even if that belief system is flexible, changing a lot. If they paradigm shift often, they are using the theory of chaos magic to be flexible within themselves. That is not necessarily an absence of belief. Chaos magic is a system. There are terminologies in the system. We'll get to more as the series goes on, but here are some that you'll see kind of talked about a lot, or that are not extremely well defined in a lot of other chaos magic works. The most important one is Kia. That is a term that originated from Spar, popularized by Peter Carroll. It's kind of a hard term to define. I listed like some terms people have used as synonymous with Kia. Carroll himself said some people call Kia God or Tao, but Carroll himself criticizes use of these terms because Kia, in his words, cannot be anthropomorphized, which is apparently how God and Tao is applied. I'm not sure if that kind of misses the point of Tao, or if that is kind of more in the pop Christian concept of God, but I think Carroll's kind of warning in that direction means that the practitioner should be mindful that choosing to use certain phrases as synonymous to Kia can in and of itself mischaracterize Kia, and so a lot of chaos magicians prefer to simply use the term Kia. Paradigm is kind of understood to be an interpretation of reality and or system of manipulating it. You do not have to interpret reality in one paradigm and exclude yourself from using the other in chaos magic. In some other theories of magic, that would be pretty taboo. In chaos magic, that's kind of the main point, is to have reality selection, and with that, also flexible practice. Gnosis. Gnosis is like spiritual or personal knowing of reality. It's very similar to how a lot of other magic practitioners use the term gnosis. If you're pagan, you might have heard of the term UPG, unverified personal gnosis. If you're Gnostic or Luciferian, that should be a very familiar term to you. But that is what gnosis is for those unfamiliar with the term. Deconditioning. So deconditioning is kind of a process in chaos magic in which you dismantle your belief system. Some people kind of go through similar processes to deprogram themselves from say, harmful belief systems, such as cults, is kind of using chaos magic as a rehabilitation of dogmatic belief systems, or to change bad habits and stuff like that. It's a process. It's kind of going to be lengthy in most individuals. That is how you kind of change belief systems a little more permanently, if that interests you. Initiation. This term I'm kind of basing off of Hein's work in Kenneth's Chaos, and kind of his analysis of initiation. Initiation is mostly a process of achieving gnosis. It is often through a paradigm. And yes, initiation is a process. It's not a one and done deal. It's a journey. That's not like only a concept you'll see in chaos magic, but it is more pronounced in working in a chaos magic kind of mentalization. And finally, again, this is not like only a chaos magic thing, but is very prominent in chaos magic, is sigilization. Sigilization is making a visual representation of an abstract concept, either systematically or automatically. Spar has done both. Spar, who popularized the concept of sigil magic initially before Carroll popularized it further, had a systematic way of like letter deletion and reorganization, and also automatic drawing. I will talk about that and how to make sigils in a later installment of the series. Closing thoughts. So, chaos magic has certainly been more popular over the years, mostly in part due to its flexibility, non-dogmatic belief system, and ease of use. It was actually one of the first forms of magic I familiarized myself with, and I am extremely grateful to have been able to have that with me on my magic journey for as long as I did. Basically, right after I kind of started studying about the occult, I looked to chaos magic first as a way of doing things, and I truly think that anybody who is willing to learn about the practice and application of chaos magic theory will be extremely, like at the very least, surprised at how useful it can be. And also it can be immensely useful in like group spaces, doing group rituals, kind of as a way to mentalize certain things in other vocabulary that other people might speak and mentalize differently, for example. And that is part of the reason why I am making this series. Alright, so be on the lookout for further installments. Thank you for watching and listening. If you want to learn more about chaos magic or occultism in general, or you're interested in book reviews, at the very least, consider subscribing to my channel. I try to post a new video every Saturday. I certainly hope to see you around, and I hope you have learned something from this.